Okay, so the second day of the hunt in Fit 2, uh, Bertilac hunts a boar. So on the first day, it was a deer, right? And it ran and tried to elude through speed and dodging, right? And very much the same way with Gawain and the lady. In the second day here, the Lord goes out and he hunts and kills a boar. Meanwhile, Gawain and the lady have a second round of discussions about courtly love, this time a little bit more forward, right? And again, it mirrors the hunt with the boar. Essentially, she wants to talk to him about what happened the day before. She keeps bringing up the rules, right? She says to him in 1481, "Sir, if you truly are Gawain, it seems wondrous to me that a man so dedicated to doing his duty cannot heed the first rule of honorable behavior." A little bit later, she says to him in like line 1512, "In chivalry, the chief most aspect to choose as all knights acknowledges loyalty and love." So she's elevating this courtly ideal and associating it with the chivalry and saying, you know, there are expectations that I had for you, and you've got this reputation, and you haven't behaved in such a way that seems to uphold your reputation. And again, this sounds a lot like what the Green Knight said to Arthur when he went into the court. You know, you guys have this reputation, and I look around and see a bunch of basically beardless boys. Is no one going to stand up and fight me? And so Gawain engages with the lady in this conversation about courtly love, and essentially just asks her, like, well, what is it that you want from me? I can't do the things for you that you are suggesting. He says his first defense he tries in the day is to say, I dare not kiss in case I'm turned down. If refused, I'd be at fault for offering in the first place. And she says, well, first of all, that's silly. No one would refuse you who knew who you were. And if someone was so snooty as to refuse you, you're big and strong and could take her anyway. And it's important to point out that in the sort of handbook for this courtly behavior, again, it's between members of nobility. And so if a man is enamored of a peasant girl, then he should basically puff her up with flattery so that she'll sleep with him. And short of that, he can just take her, right, because of these dramatic class distinctions. Now, Gawain says, well, that's true, but in my country, that sort of thing is frowned upon. You know, that you only want tokens that are freely given. So they have these kinds of conversations throughout the day. And, you know, she accuses him of maybe having a false reputation. Maybe the things that she had heard about him and his courtly behavior were not accurate. He says, no, that's not it. And she says, well, then you don't find me pretty enough to be worthy. He says, no, that's not it. And she really is bold in this one and really comes right to the point. And in 1533-34, she says, perform for me before my husband heads for home. And there's a definite sexual overtone to that request. And basically he realizes at this point that he's trapped. And so he says in 1547, bound as I am to honor you forever, basically saying, look, I made a promise to honor you. And he's just begging her not to exploit him. And it says, so the lady tempted and teased him, trying to entice him to wherever her intentions might lie. But in 1551, fairly and without fault, he defended himself. So she is really trying to maneuver him into this position, to get what she wants out of him based on her understanding of his knightly duties. And he is very good at operating within these codes, maintaining this balance. Remember that 5-pointed star, and defending himself in this way. But like the boar in the fight, during the hunt, he puts up a good fight, but he is eventually worn down. So there is an exchange of 2 kisses. And then when Bertilak comes back, we get the fun exchange again where he's like, oh, here's the boar. And then Gawain kisses him twice. And, Bertilak's like, I'm really getting the better part of this deal. And so, but she continues to be forward with him when they have dinner that night and flirting with him basically right in front of her husband, which really makes him uncomfortable. But he doesn't want to dishonor her by calling her out for this, and so he plays the game with her because basically she's got him trapped, right? She has him cornered. She knows the rules of courtly love as well as he does, and because she has the backing of her husband, right? The rules have been violated already because it's a setup, but because of that, she's able to manipulate him. And that's the second hunt.